Welcome to Off Air with Christy Capel. I have one of my favorite people here, Farmer Lee Jones. Farmer Lee and I go way, way, way back. Farmer Lee's been coming on Fox 8 for a very long time. Farmer Lee Jones is with the Chef's Garden, and if I just run through everything they got going on, I might as well just read you this 600-page pack. That's truly amazing. The Chef's Garden is an online market, ships veggies, herbs, edible flowers, you name it, even unique gift ideas. They have supplied the greatest chefs in America. Over 30 years of the family farm in Huron, Ohio, delivering specialty products all over the world, right to your doorstep. You may know him as the trademark overalls and red bow tying wearing farmer. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm so excited about this. I've been looking forward to this talk for a long time.
I love you for that. Farmer Lee and I will just kind of have so much fun on Fox 8 and cook and do all kinds of things. So I said, you have to be on my podcast. We've known each other for many, many years. He's got the best personality, but you're a bigger deal than I thought. I mean, I know I researched you for a 4-minute interview on the morning show, but you're kind of a bigger deal than I thought, Farmer Lee. You know that, right?
No, I'm bigger around than I ought to be. That's for sure.
Stop it.
I'm just a dirt farmer.
Stop. Let's talk about the farm. 300 acres, and this was a family business for many, many years. So I want to know what Farmer Lee was like as a kiddo. What were you doing on the farm at age 5?
I'm working. I'm the oldest in the family. There's 3 of us, and back in the day when a farmer took out a loan at the bank, they listed the number of children they had on the loan because it was considered an asset to the farm. And so their old saying was the bigger the family, the bigger the farm could be and the more money they could borrow. But we only had 3 kids. I don't know if that's a liability or an asset today. Because it's really expensive to raise kids today.
Right? It's so funny. I just had that story on the news. Do you know how from the age they're born until 17 years old, it costs $350,000 to raise a child?
I believe that.
With inflation.
Well, anything that my dad was doing, I wanted to be there to help. And I never really felt like I was being punished to work. I just wanted to help on the farm. And it was the greatest honor of my life to get to work with him all of my life.
And now I'm flipping through your book, Farmer, as I have many times to find recipes and stuff, but you weren't always wearing overalls. I love your pictures at the beginning. Our young Farmer Lee. So I think I want to know when these overalls and the bow ties started. What's the history behind it?
Yeah, well, it didn't start soon enough. We were really looking for that trademark. It's actually a registered trademark with the U.S. Attorney General's office.
Wow.
I have had people that questioned me, and I brought them into our bedroom in the closet to look. I do not own another pair of pants. I have 18 pairs of overalls, 18 white shirts, 18 red bow ties. I wear them to church on Sunday. I have been to funerals. I have conducted several weddings. There's an old saying that you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, but it actually goes back and there's more meaning to it. One of the few books, unfortunately, that I read during high school was The Grapes of Wrath. We always thought that reading the cliff notes and seeing if we could get a B without reading the book was really brilliant, and it really wasn't very smart. But
I may have done that.
The Grapes of Wrath was one that really captivated me. John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath, and it talks about the Great Depression and the time and the period in America where the farms lost their farms, the Dust Bowl and the Depression, and farmers were displaced. And a lot of times they had 3 generations, and they loaded up on an old jalopy of a vehicle. They had the pet dog, they might have had the goat or the cow, and they were kicked off of their farms, and they were looking for a place to start over to make a living for their family. And there were large ranches or orchards that would take advantage of those farms, and the word would get out without cell phones and without, it's unbelievable how the word would get out. And hundreds, if not thousands of farmers would show up. Sometimes they had to push their vehicles in because they were out of gas or they were broken down. And they would give them a camp to stay in, and they would work, and they would maybe make hypothetically $1.50 a day, but then it was 50 cents to stay in the camp and another 50 cents if you wanted a hot meal and a shower. And they almost ended up owing by the end of the day after they had worked. And they really were taken advantage of, but they just wanted to start over. But there's a scene. In fact, if anybody is really interested, there's an old black and white. If some of your listeners remember Henry Fonda, he was the main character in it at like 23 years old. So it's an old movie. But there's a scene on a Saturday night in one of these camps. As broken down, as broken spirited, as poor as they were, they put on clean overalls, worn and torn, but clean, and white shirts and bow ties, and they had a square dance. And despite all of their troubles, they maintained their pride and their dignity. Yeah. And so for every small farmer out there, for everybody that ever dreamed of having a farm, for everybody that ever lost a farm like our family did, for anybody that remembers going to a grandparents or an aunt and uncles and dreamed of getting back to the farm, it's really to represent the small family farm. Little did I know that just 5 to 6 years after I read that book, we would experience our own grapes of wrath and lose the family farm. I stood and watched 25 years of my parents' work be auctioned off right here on this location. Every single thing that my parents owned, including my mother's car and our house, all the land, all the tractors, everything was auctioned off. And ironically, 40 years later, during the middle of COVID, by the grace of God, we bought the farm back 40 years later.
Oh my God.
We actually built a farm market in the middle of COVID because people wanted safe, clean food.
Yes.
And you know, it was it is an open air market that we open here right on the farm, and people can come here, and most of our travelers come over an hour to come, and it's really about clean food.
Yeah.
And we're open year round for folks to be able to come. And of course, you mentioned the home delivery, which we opened up in the middle of COVID so that we could ship boxes to individuals wherever they happen to be.
With the regenerative farming is huge. I mean, that's literally your heart and soul. You guys have done this for so many years, but touch on that. You write about that on the blog on your website's fabulous, and blog after blog. And what are the methods that you're using? Why is this all of a sudden your passion?
Yeah, you know, it's been a way of life for decades. It is being tagged. It's kind of like, you know, sustainable agriculture was the buzzword a few years ago. Regenerative agriculture is what they're calling it today. Our great-grandparents did it. My dad had a saying that the only thing we're trying to do is get as good as the growers were 100 years ago. And if you think about that, pre-chemical, pre-synthetic fertilizer, and the nutritional levels were 50 to 80% higher 100 years ago than they are today. I'll use a layman explanation because it's how I can explain it. We have 3 scientists on staff. We have a lab here where we're testing nutrient density, nitrate oxide. We're testing the biology in the soil. Have you ever heard a parent say, and maybe you've even said it as an adult, oh, I need some vitamin D. I'm going to go get some sunshine.
Yes.
Right? You heard it said. Maybe you've even said it yourself.
Right.
So if you...
Or pop in a vitamin during these 6-month-long winters.
Yeah, for sure. We're starting to lose that daylight already. If you could get your mind around the idea that your body is a receptacle for energy from the sun, then it's not such a far bridge for you to imagine. And I would say there's so much more truth to it than people understand. What's really cool is we're doing lab analysis on the soil. Just like if you go, all of us as an adult have gone and had blood work drawn. And it gives us a printout of the minerals or the mineral deficiencies. It gives you a whole list. We do the same thing with the soil. Then based on those deficiencies, and this is where it's really cool, different types of plants will harvest different types of energy from the sun. So clover, alfalfa, buckwheat, rye, sedan grass. We have a 15 species planting. We only farm 400 acres. Now, somebody that doesn't know 400 acres sounds like a lot of acreage.
Yeah.
We have neighbors that are farming 3,500 acres. A couple of them are farming 5,000. You go out west and it's even bigger. So we're really small, but to make it even smaller, 2/3 of the acreage is committed to this concept of harvesting energy from the sun. It's about balance. It's about balance in our lives, but it's also about balance in the plant. The mineral makeups are the same in a plant or in the soil as they are in our body. So what we're trying to achieve is the balance. And so many of these things are depleted and deficient or imbalanced. So we can harvest these, we can plant these different types of plants and they'll harvest that energy and create the balance. Chemical companies told farmers for years that they could use a chemical to kill the weeds. Why is killing the weeds so important? They steal the light and the water and the resources that are available for the plant that you're trying to grow to create a harvest, whether it's soybeans, wheat, or corn, or whether it's vegetables. And every time you go through the field, it's a cost. So everybody used to do what they called cultivating their field. It was a mechanical cultivation, just like if in your home garden you use a hoe to eradicate the weed. Basically, these hoes were attached to a tractor and you drove through. Mechanical cultivation, there was no chemical. Well, then the chemical company said, well, gee, we'll help the farmers. We can use chemicals. So they genetically modified the plant so that when they planted it, they sprayed it. So you eliminated time over the field and you made it more efficient. The farmers in America are not at fault here. The model is for them to do things as efficiently and cheaply as possible. Look, Christy, as it relates to our income, and I know this may be hard for people to understand because we could talk about full foods, full check. There's that whole thing. It seems expensive, particularly right now with the inflation.
Right.
But as it relates to our income, we produce food cheaper than any other country in the world. And what I mean by that, less of our paychecks go to buy food as a percentage of our total income than any other country. There are some countries where everything they make every day is just to put food on the plate, much less to be able to have a vehicle or a home of their choice or send the children to the schools of their choice, or all of those freedoms that we get to enjoy here in America. And so we produce food cheap, but here's the conundrum. We produce food cheaper than any other country in the world, but we have the highest health care in the world. And so there's a
that
real
doesn't make
problem
sense.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
No. So does this methodology, the way that we're doing it with regenerative agriculture, 2/3 of the acreage is committed just to harvesting the energy to rebuild those nutrients naturally rather than synthetically or chemically. But it's showing up. And, there's the old saying, and it's kind of tongue in cheek, you can either pay the farmer or you can pay the doctor. Well, we're not trying to pit ourselves against doctors. There's a place for Western culture medicine, but I think that we've really missed something in looking at the balance and how we can grow. Here's a fact. You would have to eat 5 heads of broccoli today to get the same nutritional level of 1 head in 1945. This is not sustainable. Not only do we have a 50 to 80% decline in the nutritional levels in 100 years. Now, look, 100 years sounds like a long time to you and your listeners because you guys are just still young. I'm 63 now. 100 years, I'm coming very quickly to realize that 100 years is a pretty short window of time in the matter of the great scheme of things. So, it's pretty scary to think about that short of a period to have a 50 to 80% decline. But also, what's even scarier, in the same time period, a 3,000% increase in kidney, liver, heart, cancer disease, attention deficit disorder, autism, childhood obesity, allergies, and diabetes. I wouldn't bet the farm, but I'd be willing to bet dinner to anybody that's listening to your show that there isn't anybody that doesn't have somebody in their immediate family or circle of friends that isn't suffering from one or more of those diseases. Yeah. At that trajectory of 3,000% increase with an 80% decline, we believe there's a direct correlation with that, and it's not sustainable.
And I talk about the peanut allergy because my oldest deals with that. Why are these allergies? I mean, this was not even a thing when I was in school, and now we're at separate tables at school. My daughter's going through a program where they're trying new treatments on her to see if we can bring the allergy down. Like, what is with the peanut allergy? Can you help me with that?
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen that commercial. I'm not a doctor, but I did have a great night's stay at a Holiday Inn last night. These are my opinions, but I believe there are things to support. I believe immune systems are compromised.
Yeah.
We all on the farm used to drink well water or cistern water, which was runoff. We captured the water from the barns and from the houses, and it went into a well, and we drank that water. And it was full of E. coli.
Mm-hmm.
And so we then went to chlorinated water, so that there was nothing in the water. You don't hear of E. coli outbreaks so much in Mexico. We're the most sterile environment in the world, and we're also the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
I heard a story about two sisters, and they were up in their 80s, and they were talking about the way that they raised their children. The one sister would let the kids go out and play all day, and they would be dirt from toe to ear. And before dinner, they would go in and they would take a bath, and they would have supper, and they would start over again the next day. The other sister just hated the dirt, and if the kids would get dirty at 10:30, she would rush them in and they'd take a bath, and then they may take 3 or 4 baths during the day. Those kids were sick their entire lives. The sister that let the kids go out and play, and the old saying of you'll eat a bushel of dirt in your lifetime, or a little dirt won't hurt.
Right. It builds up your immune system.
It builds up your immune system. And so I think that, the water is sterile.
Yeah.
With the chlorine. Look, the chlorine kills the impurities in the water, but it doesn't differentiate, just like the penicillin. It kills the bad bugs, but it kills the good bugs. So the more sterile we become, the more vulnerable we become. Now, that's just the facts.
Well, when my kids get home from school today, I'm going to go tell them to eat some dirt.
No, I just did this week a national show, and they wanted to interview because there's a whole craze on TikTok right now with people eating soil and eating dirt. And I had read about this in National Geographic like 30 years ago in starving countries. I believe it was in Africa. Instinctively, women were eating the soil because their bodies were missing minerals, and through instinct, they were eating that to pick up the minerals. I don't know look, the more in tune we get with our bodies, the more in tune we can listen to it. I have times when my body says, you need Swiss chard, because the minerals in that Swiss chard I need. And when you're really focused on what you're eating and listening to your body, it will communicate with you, and it will tell you. My suggestion when I did this interview on National about eating dirt, that's the craze on TikTok, was that I believe that there are ways to get those minerals and nutrition through vegetable and plant-based rather than eating the soil. The soil in itself perhaps wouldn't hurt you, but you don't know whether there are heavy metals in there. You don't know whether there's chemical in soil.
And when you say, I believe you've said healthy soil equates to healthy vegetables, which equates to healthy people, but maybe not the TikTok version.
And healthy environment. And that's really healthy soil, healthy vegetables, healthy people, healthy environment. It's really the crux of what we're trying to do. Christy, it's our life's work.
You'd also talk about honeybees playing a pivotal role on the farm too. So that's important. We all know that, eating local honey.
Absolutely. And we say that they're the hardest working creatures on the farm.
Yes. And from what I understand, just by listening to science, nobody really can figure out how they make the honey. Right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Isn't it amazing?
Albert Einstein was said to have made the quote once that 5 years after the bee population is wiped out, so goes the human race. I don't think that people fully understand the importance of bees to pollination.
Yeah.
From a health standpoint, they say that if you can eat honey that is produced within like a 20-mile radius of where you live, that honey is better. If you can source out and find local honey or put a beehive in, it takes some mind over matter to stick your hands into those bees.
If you've never been to Farmer Lee Jones farm, it's just somewhere that you have to go. I have yet to go, and I've known Farmer for a long time. But during the fall's my favorite season, and you guys always have stuff going on. You have the corn maze. Do you have that again this year along with the veggie launcher?
This is actually our first year for the corn maze.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I mean, I always get lost in them, but I hear they're fun.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. There's actually the chef's garden is in it, and then there's a big red bow tie in it, and it's like a 5-acre field. And the kids have had a blast, and the big kids have had a great time too.
Yeah.
And it's fun to get families out to the farm and experience the farm and to understand where carrots come from. We actually will post different tour dates where we'll load families on the wagons and take them out into the field and show them where the products are being grown. It's really great.
It is. It's my favorite time of year, and to go out to the farm, that would be a blast. Now, talk about some of the things that are in front of you. When Farmer Lee Jones comes to Fox 8 News in the morning, this is what the table looks like, if not probably more. Like, he will bring the farm into the studio, and you have the best setup of anybody I've ever seen. And as you say, as Farmer Lee has taught me, you eat the rainbow, right?
Absolutely. We just think that it's so important to get as much color into your diet as possible. This is one of those times of year that's really what we call the sweet spot. The summer crops are still in. The fall crops have started. I'm sitting in the corner of the farm market right now with an open air garage door behind me. There are people shopping right now as we speak here in the market. And the color and the rainbow of colors of the tomatoes, of the colored carrots, of the cabbages, the potatoes, the new crop potatoes, the beets, the broccolis now, and the cauliflowers, and of course the pumpkins and the delicata squash. We have a sweet potato squash, a mashed potato squash. We haven't dug the sweet potatoes yet because they're still growing, and we're actually still planting some things because we'll have spinach that we'll harvest all winter long. We'll use solar. We use cold frames to capture the solar energy, and even on a 20-degree day, that stuff will still be growing. But the carrots, we're picking all the different colors of the carrots, and for thousands of years, we only ate the top of a carrot. And for the last 300 years, the only thing we eat is the bottom of the carrot. In your pesto, replace the basil with carrot tops. It's loaded with nutrition, and they're good. And the old heirloom pumpkins, I love the heirloom pumpkins, the purple cauliflowers and the yellow cauliflowers, and we've got green cauliflower and white cauliflower. One of my favorite things, and I actually did a piece with the New York Times back, I think it was in January, we recognized, and so did the New York Times, one of the trends is the cabbage. And I'm really excited. We found this variety. I don't know whether you can see that.
Yes.
But it's called an arrowhead cabbage. We found it growing over in Holland. They like it because it grows more upright than out. And so they can put up to 40,000 heads per acre in, and they can really force a lot of head. That's not what we fell in love with. Chef Jamie, of course, is all about the flavor and what's in season. And this cabbage, just to take and half or quarter it, put it on the grill. We're still in grilling mode right now.
Totally. Some of us at Fox 8 grill all winter, Scott Zabel.
I love that. And so throwing this on the grill with a little olive oil, little cracked salt, little pepper, it is unbelievable. There's so many of the vegetables, even the colored peppers.
Farmer, wait, when you pick the cabbage, I hear it needs to squeak so you know it's fresh.
Wow, you did do your homework. Yeah, I don't know if you can, when it's out in the field. See, this is a little wet, but you can actually get it squeaking.
Yes!
There we go, yeah. Wow, I'm impressed. And of course the beets, the colored beets, the candy striped beets, the gold beets, the white beets, the red, the bull's blood beets. And of course, people sometimes ask us to cut the tops off and throw them away. We love to sell them with the tops on. There's so much nutrition in the top. Don't throw them away. If you can get the beets with tops on, just take and chop them down, put a little bit of water, steam them down to tender, put a little bit of cracked salt and pepper on those and put a little bit of vinaigrette on them, and they're delicious. And so good for you. I don't love beets, but my wife will take and cook off maybe 3 or 4 pounds the first part of the week, so they're completely tender. We just cook them in boiling water and then put them in the fridge because I like them chilled better than hot. And then they're in the fridge, and then whatever meal we're having, we pull one out. And I love the chilled beets with a little bit of goat cheese and a little bit of micro basil. And
I love goat cheese. I'll try. Oh, yes.
You know,
my taste buds are dancing.
Yes, absolutely. And
my mom used to eat them right out of the pan because she'd warm them up on the top of the stove. They wouldn't even make it to the plate. She'd just get a fork and.
Mary is the same way. You know, the beets do so many good things for the kidneys, and they're just so healthy for you, and they help purify. Even if you don't love it, find a way to work something into the diet, like the goat cheese, because I love the goat cheese. So it makes the beets actually something that I would have gone from, not so much, to, you know what? This is actually a pretty good dish.
Yes.
Be creative. Go to the farmers markets. Come to the farm market here. Go to the farm market. And I always encourage people, look, don't go with a list of things that you want. Go to the farmers market. And it's so fun because, look, we have to cook 2-3 times a day, every day. So it kind of gets monotonous and it gets boring. But go to the farm market and allow the farm market to decide what you're going to have for dinner. Jamie likes to use the reference of a walk through the garden. I know when we're doing dinners at the farm, our marketing team is always pushing him to give him the recipe, give him the menus. And he's not putting it off because he doesn't want to give it to him. It's that he wants to wait until the final day and walk through the gardens here at the farm and decide what looks beautiful in this given moment. It's a walk in the garden right now, and you can do the same thing at the farmers markets. There's some great farmers markets in the Cleveland area, and we would love to have you come here and walk through the farm market here, or you can go online, and we're going to put the best of the season on and make it available for people.
Yes. Have you ever seen someone so passionate about vegetables?
This
Farmer,
is so exciting.
I know you make me get excited. Now, with the fall veggies and the season's best produce right now, there's a couple others I wanted to hit you up on because I hear because we all need ideas on how to make dinner tonight. So eggplant, I heard, is your favorite. So what do you say? Best on the grill? And I also heard you can make dessert out of it.
You can. And you know, the book, Jamie and his team put together over 100 recipes, and it's really what's in season.
Yes.
I will guarantee it's too heavy to take to the farmer's market, but I guarantee whatever you find at the farmer's market, you bring it home and it'll be in the book.
Absolutely.
Now, I tend to get excited about whatever's in season, so that's what I'm so passionate about in any particular moment. I may have mentioned eggplant, my favorite, at one point, but I don't know that it really
I like
is.
everything.
One of the things that's really gotten a lot of traction, I think that once a summer, I know Mary tries to keep me away from the white bread. Go with the whole wheat bread or something that's, really good. But once a summer, break down, go buy the $1.99 Wonder white bread, cheat just this one time, and get the biggest, juiciest. Matt, can you grab me one of those big, sexy heirloom tomatoes and cut a nice, big, thick piece of it that takes up the full tomato? And chefs have taught me Duke's mayo is the way to go. I used Miracle Whip, and I got destroyed online for that.
Oh,
and maybe a little cracked salt, and make just a tomato sandwich. Sometimes the simplest things are the best.
So good. I think you brought that on the show one time. You're like, just taste
Thank you so much.
this sexy tomato.
Can you hold that up close and do a little turnaround?
Look at that. Wow.
Now,
that is huge.
Don't worry about it being perfect. We get so accustomed to a tomato looking absolutely perfect in the store.
To take home? Okay.
They're hybridized. The reason that you see those varieties that are perfect is because they've kept hybridizing. But part of the key is, one, it'll ship across the country or the world, how well it will ship, how many pounds per acre, and they can ship it and gas it to get it to ripen once it gets to the destination, because you can't, normally they say you can't ship a ripe tomato. We actually ship ripe tomatoes. We've developed a case with foam in the bottom, foam on the sides, foam on the top, and we ship them ripe enough to eat.
Oh, they have the seasonal boxes. You can build your own box. They got the veggie boxes literally to your doorstep, and it's all on the website. I mean, it's so simple, and it's fresh, as we just talked about. It's super fresh. Okay, hold on. I have two more. What about squash? Picking squash. You said start small, or make sure you pick them when they're small.
Well, there's several different kinds. We're starting to get in the mode of fall squash.
Yes.
Let's see. You got to, okay. This is actually one we worked with.
I made my kids' own baby food instead of buying baby food in the stores. And that was
a great idea.
Yes, thank you. And I don't know how to cook, and you know that, but I would get the squash, and it was so easy to do.
It really is. And we worked with a company called Row 7. They're in upstate New York. And there's no genetic modification, but basically it's seed selection over time. And you pick, and what's cool about this butternut is that it's small enough, you can cut this in half, and it's a portion size. Restaurants love this. A lot of the old style butternut are 4.5, 5 pounds. And these were developed, not genetically modified, but selected seed selection over time to get a nice small size. But the fall squash is just starting to come in season now. The delicatas, the sweet dumplings, the butternuts and the buttercups, and the acorn squash, and the mashed potato squash, which is insane. So there's those squash, but then there's the summer squash. Of course, everybody knows that they're sort of running out of gas right now, and everybody's made all the zucchini bread.
Yeah, they can.
But the idea and the goal of a plant is to reproduce. And if you can continue to harvest your squash off, if you haven't done it, it's a great experience for the kids. They're easy to grow. The insects they don't go crazy over those. Plant a zucchini squash next spring. Plant a summer squash, but keep picking them off. Every day and a half, go out, pick those squash off. And if you're picking them off at like the length of your finger, they're nice and tender, and they're fun, and they're cute. And so the kids are more likely to eat it when it's not just squash, like they've eaten it, and don't overcook it. When it gets mushy, it's blah. Get it out, cook it al dente, or put them on the grill and put the blackened lines on, or put them in the pan and don't overcook them. But if you keep picking those off, the plant thinks, I haven't done my job. You're doing great on that plan, but then you decide, well, we're going to go take a 4-day vacation, summer vacation before school starts, and you come back, and all of a sudden you've got a zucchini as size around as your arm, and it's a zucchini log, and then we end up making zucchini bread. Well, once you do that, the plant thinks, I've done my job. I produced a mature seed, because those seeds in that big squash are huge.
Yeah.
And so that plant is going to shut down. We'll actually do about 15 plantings of squash all the way through the season, because even though we keep picking those off, they'll start and wane, and the yield will go down, and they'll start and run out of gas. So we want that next one, because we do a lot of zucchini squash blossoms and things like that. But picking those squash young, I think, is going to, you're going to enjoy them better, but the kids are going to enjoy them better. Look, guys, this is beyond the chef's garden. This is beyond us trying to promote our farm. Of course, we want you to come, but please, this is so critical.
Yeah.
If you can get the kids going and liking and enjoying, because it's good doesn't mean it has to be, because it's good for you doesn't mean that it has to taste bad.
Yeah, right.
This stuff can be good and good for you and really delicious. And if you can get the kids involved in it, they're going to be more likely to eat it. But it's not just for the kids. This is so critical as adults that we're putting the right things in. I brought a couple of packages along. This one, we're so excited about this regenerative agriculture. This is called Superfoods Blend. What we're finding is that the smaller the size, the higher the nutrition. This Superfoods Blend is testing 300 times higher than the USDA average. It's unbelievable. You don't need a lot of it. Put it on a salad. put it on a sandwich, put it
Yeah.
on the kid's sandwich, put a bowl beside your chair. You will literally feel more pep in your step the next day by eating this
Ooh,
stuff. It's unbelievable.
I need that in my breakfast cereal before I go to work at 2 a.m.
Absolutely, you do. This one is uh, sulforaphane signature
Okay.
blend. We certainly can't say. There's so many people that are struggling with so many diseases, but
Yeah.
we work with several holistic doctors. This one has been known to be able to help all of the things that are going on in your body when you're struggling with cancer. And I'm not sitting here saying, buy this, it's going to cure cancer. But I'm saying that this has got some properties in it that have been helpful. We have numerous people that are using this. We
Yeah.
believe there's a holistic approach. We're not anti-Western culture medicine, but I believe that there's a place where they can both exist and help each other.
Sometimes I kind of find it hard to get the kids to eat it. And as you said, there are so many ways. Farmer Lee will bring all this stuff on our show. I'm like, nah, I need some ranch dressing before I dip into that. In Farmer Lee will be like, no, just try it bare. And the flavors, when you're picking it from somewhere like Farmer Lee's farm, it truly is. It's incredible. It's the way that they taste. Okay, wait, one more, and then we can move on. Sweet potatoes, refrigerate, not refrigerate.
Don't refrigerate.
Okay.
No, keep them cool and dry and
Yeah.
dark. But I mean, I'm going to go back to your ranch dressing. If you need them to use a little ranch dressing and dip it in, one of the things we found too is if you can get them to eat it raw, even the baby squash raw, dipped in the ranch, it's pretty darn good.
Yes.
Look, sometimes the smaller vegetables, they're cute enough and different enough that they'll try those and eat them. And if you can get them going on those, you have no idea the gift. As a parent, you want to do everything for your child that you can. It's not as much about financial. It's about getting those eating habits going right. And it's going to make
Right.
a world of a difference to them their entire lives. It's just so critical that we really focus. There is so much crap in the preservatives. Look at the labels. Eat clean food.
Yeah.
Grow clean food if you can do it. Go to the farmer's market. Talk to them. How are they growing it? Come here. We love to talk about clean food on a daily
You can't tell, can you, everybody?
but it's unbelievable. We have one called the creme brulee.
Oh,
You can literally use this. Chef Jamie and other chefs now have used these sweet potatoes for dessert. They're just that good.
now you know why they ship to famous chefs all over the world. That's exactly why, everybody.
Here's a core of what makes me the proudest and keeps us all on the farm driving to try and get better. I had a lady in here last Saturday, and she grabbed me by the arm and she said, I want to tell you, my husband was diagnosed as full-on diabetic, and he was starting to do the shots. His A1C had hit over 7. 6.7 is full-on diabetes, or 7.0 is full-on diabetes. And he was destined to a really difficult remainder of his life. He said, I put him on a very strict chef's garden diet of your vegetables, your greens, your superfoods. And I'm here to tell you he is off all of his drugs and he is no longer diabetic.
You're kidding,
I
Chef.
had tears in my eye.
Oh,
and
my God.
that is what it's all about.
Yep,
we can do this. And it's the answer is here. The answer is the closer you can get to your food sources, the better. It's really exciting. You have a choice. You make a difference. You vote with your dollars on where you spend. Read the labels, look at the preservatives, and if you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't be feeding it to your kids.
I've heard that. Absolutely.
So
I think
grateful to be on.
Oh gosh, I've learned a lot, and I've known you for 13 years, just from this one podcast episode. But then we also get in a rut from maybe cooking vegetables the same way, and I think if you buy Chef's book, it'll kind of help you get out of that rut and to some different things. And who knows, your kids might actually love it and ask for it again. Farmer Lee Jones loves his vegetables and his farm. However, he is a celebrity and he's too humble to tell you that. So I'll just go ahead and tell everybody. You actually have a great relationship with Rachel Ray. She's the first one where I was like, I can cook. Like watching her, right? I learned what EVOO was, extra virgin olive oil. But she says you're her favorite farmer. Talk about your relationship with Rachel Ray, and she's been to the farm too.
She's been several times. She stayed in our home. She's one of the most generous, kind. She has a heart the size of a bushel basket. She has spent several months in Poland. When she talks about this, she is welled up with tears. There are children over there in Ukraine that are now parentless, and she's building culinary schools for those children to learn a trade. She loves food, but she loves people. She's generous and kind. Where I started out was we had been supplying her with product on ABC for years, but we never really knew each other. When we pivoted to try and keep our team alive and going here on the farm, we launched this nationwide home delivery. Well, she started buying them. She would send us a list of 100 people and purchase 100 boxes and have them shipped literally all over the country to people. And I sent her a handwritten note thanking her for her kindness and her support of our little family farm. And it really resonated with her. And the next thing you know, just like we're doing today, we were doing these live during COVID.
Yes.
And talking about a particular group of products or vegetables, and we really hit it off. And then the next thing you know, she says, I want you guys to come to Italy. And so Chef Jamie and his wife and Mary and I, she flew us to Italy. We stayed there with her. We filmed over there. Then she came back and filmed here, and then she flew us back over again. And she's been amazing.
That is amazing.
It's really been fun.
And also, Jose Andres, who actually wrote the foreword in your book, who started the World Central Kitchen. For those who don't know a little bit about him, explain Jose and kind of where he started, how you guys built your relationship for him to even write a foreword, and just the wonderful work that he's been doing.
He's unbelievable. I mean, and I'm not trying to make any comment towards either political side, but Chef Jose, when there is a crisis in the world or in America, he's moving and he's feeding people while the governments are still trying to figure out how to activate and do something. He's already there with 100 chefs cooking for people that need food. He's brilliant. He's from Spain. He's so passionate. He has restaurants all over. He's been here many times. He's been an amazing friend and mentor.
Yeah.
We love him. See, when we sent a request for him to do the foreword and he sent it, it was during COVID, and I was sitting at the kitchen table and I read the words that he said, and I was sobbing. For him to have said the kind and generous things that he did about our family. Look, this isn't Lee Jones. This isn't Lee Jones Farm. You know, my mom and dad really put the hardest work in early on of losing the farm and starting over. But there's 168 full-time people that make up the Chef's Garden, and I'm just one of 168 people.
It always takes a team, doesn't it?
And so this is not Lee Jones Farm. This is the Chef's Garden, and we as individuals work together at a common goal of doing something really special.
Right.
Which is growing clean food. So it's not Lee Jones, and I'm not a chef. I'm just a vegetable farmer.
No, we leave that up to Jamie.
That's right. And his team at the Culinary Vegetable Institute.
So good.
We've got he's doing a potato dinner this fall.
Oh, gosh.
It's going to be pretty cool.
Yum.
When are you going to bring the family out and do the corn maze and come to the farm? Please,
I know.
Come see us.
I'm like, we need to get our act together. It's like you get caught up in all the extracurricular activities after school, or games on the weekends, but I am making it a point this weekend. There's so much history into what Farmer Lee Jones has started. My gosh, she's been a judge on Iron Chef, and then you were on Question on Jeopardy, which I love. Imposing Farmer Lee Jones promotes sustainability clad in red bow tie, and of course this classic farmer's garment. I got the answer. What is overalls?
You win. You win a free trip to the Chef's Garden.
I am there tomorrow. I love you, Farmer Lee. Thank you for your time. This has been
Oh
so
my
much
God.
fun and educational. And I know people watching this all over the country. I hope flock to you. Get your book, which I believe you can buy anywhere, right? Amazon, you can grab it.
Amazon. Yeah. Go to your
Yes.
favorite bookstore.
Yeah.
And whatever you do, eat your veggies.
Eat your veggies. I'm gonna take that part out and I'm gonna send it to my kids. Tell them right now. Christy's kids. Eat your veggies.
Eat your veggies.
Love you, Farmer Lee.
Hey, thank you. Love you too. Thanks for having us on. We're so
Absolutely. All right, bye-bye.
Great day. Bye-bye.